Good evening and welcome to another round of the House of Esports F1 2023 League. This is Season 3 and we will be racing around Interlagos this evening with the Tier 2 guys for Round 4. With me in the combox once again is Humid. Welcome to the combox, and how you been?
Time, I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen today. I mean, Tier 1 was really good, at least to race. Don't know about what happened in terms of instance, but let's see what Tier 2 is like for this track, because it's a really nice track for racing and driving overall.
Absolutely, it is. We saw some incredible racing last night, just to prove your point. But yeah, so I'm sure we are looking forward to exactly the same. A couple of guys with telemetry issues tonight, so we'll reach out to them and hopefully they manage to fix their telemetry before the race itself. But yeah, this race, obviously last night, you guys had a pretty brilliant race, and yeah, anything that you'd like to say to the drivers, anything you'd like to recommend, just to help them. What would you say to them if you were coaching?
Don't hit the grass on the entry of the last corner. That's the main thing.
That grass on the outside that they've actually fixed the physics of.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can touch a pixel of it and your rears are gone. It's very quick.
yeah.
It's unsavable.
No, absolutely. I have noticed that on my side as well. It was quite interesting going from the previous years where, I mean, that grass was basically part of the track, and now it's just, yeah, it's deadly. So, yeah, I imagine the guys are going. I'm sure we'll see a couple of spins there. We saw, I think, 3 or 4 last night.
Yeah, we saw a few. I mean, I was one of them. There was Marsh in front of me who was one of them. And yeah, I don't know who else did die there, as well as the what's it? It's turn 6 and 7, the uphill double right-hander in sector 2, start of sector 2. That's also very inconsistent in terms of rear end grip. It's very easy to kind of just lose it there.
Good to know. Sorry, I'm just sending out that telemetry fix request with a link to where it is, and directly to the two people. Hopefully, they do have a look at the Discord. I'm pretty sure I only actually have Grim on the Discord, and Vanant, unfortunately, the other person with is telemetry to fix, so hopefully he sees that. So yeah, let's head across to the stream itself. And see how things go. Archlord currently on a lap in the Red Bull, and coming to the end of it, I think you will be one of the first times to come across the line.
Yeah, and it's on medium set of tires, so this won't be a really representative lap, but it's just in order to really just set the delta, see what type of pace you can get on, well, full beans on medium tires, which is not obviously the fastest tire compound in the session. You have the softs, as we just had a Williams cut on grass. Interesting.
I think Moz trying to stay out of the way of the traffic. It is pretty hectic in the third sector as far as traffic is concerned. We didn't see it so much last night with the Tier 1 guys, but I was quite surprised. I actually did mention at the time it's quite a short track, and so I wouldn't have been surprised to see traffic, but it seemed like you guys all behaved yourselves.
Yeah, we all managed to behave ourselves. We all managed to get out of the way. We knew if we're not on lap, just stay out of the way because it is a pretty twisty and tight track. It is a very it's a very short lap, as you've mentioned. It's very hard to actually get the tires into the temperature window when you're warming up the tires on lap, and that's a bit of impeding from the Alfa Romeo right there. But yeah, like, when you're trying to warm up the tires on an outlap for qualifying, and you're brake dragging and you're doing as much as you can to kind of get heat in the tires, you only get up to around 90 degrees, which isn't ideal.
I can imagine that wouldn't be ideal. So yeah, obviously tire temperature is an issue for these guys, and that impeding. I do believe it was Italian Legend, and we are 13 and a half minutes in.
Yeah, 13 and a half minutes in, and we got our first, well, known case of impeding. A bit of impeding maybe from that AlphaTauri in the right left-hander before he got out the way eventually, but at the same time, maybe it would have also kind of given Moss a bit of a tow, but we'll see what time he puts up right about now, and it's a 109.1, only about a tenth off of his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. Great lap elapsed by the two Williams drivers, finding the rhythm incredibly quickly. Um, and that is someone going across the line. Grim Reaper and Robin, the only two to not have set a lap just yet. We're watching Grim Reaper now, and yeah, leaving it a little bit late. Do you think they've had some sort of issue?
Maybe they've just decided to start late, or maybe they've kind of done 2 out laps or messed up their first push lap. I'm not too sure. There's a Williams on the back of that. That's a bit awkward, but something interesting to point out: Vinand only has the purple second sector. Moss only has the purple first and third. So Moss clearly running a lower downforce setup compared to Vinand. Vinand obviously opting to go for the faster route in the second sector with higher downforce.
Absolutely. Interestingly, Elite Delta, currently in 11th, has the fastest first sector and a good second sector. So let's see what he does as he comes across the line. Oh, I see
It only
the
puts him
echo.
P8.
So he must have lost some
Only
time.
puts Elite P8.
Must have
Interesting.
lost quite a lot of time in the final sector. I see the echo. I will attempt to fix it now. We will see if everything breaks. We'll be right back.
If
Um,
chat can still hear, he lost only, what, 4/10 in the last 2 sectors?
yeah, chat can still hear,
Kind
so
of odd. Okay, that's good. So yeah, while stream probably doesn't see what's going on, I'm not too sure. Um, yeah, it is a bit of a doozy for Elite. I mean, he did get the purple first sector, but the other sectors he's not been doing so crash hot. As Giovanni, yes, you kind of did impede on the Williams.
well, now this is interesting.
What is?
I'm just trying to figure out why things are working the way that they are.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, sorry about the lack of stream thing. We have a couple of technical difficulties. Humid is coming through on the wrong channel. It's his fault.
And you said before the stream
Everything's
everything's
good.
good.
I thought everything was good. Okay, cool. I think that is now
Told you you
fixed.
needed to check this.
Nope, not fixed. Why is this not fixed?
That is a very curious case. That is a very curious case, Skexes.
Either
Either way,
way, while
while you guys don't see anything, and while Skexes is sorting that out, just moment. P2 at the moment, only a thousandth faster than Moss.
That is a pretty incredible lap by the Aston Martin driver. Just moment is having a couple of technical issues. So yeah, he is having a couple of technical issues where when it comes to the end of quali, his controller actually disconnects from the game, and he has to then restart the game in order to be able to run again. So yeah, quite unfortunate for him.
That is a very unfortunate issue. That's a very weird issue too. Like you've never really heard about that in the prior F1 games. Um, But yeah, I mean, I can see in the telemetry. Never mind, telemetry's throwing me completely off. I've thought Moss and Vaynand were on outlaps, but no, they're not.
We will have a look at who is where shortly. Both Vaynant and Groom have fixed their telemetry settings, so just
So
thank
no
you for
disqualification
that.
today.
Yes, indeed.
At least, so that's at least pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else to note in the background? Not really. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about qualifying at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Elite Delta, I think there's a lot more time in that Red Bull. We did see him put together a good first sector, a decent second sector, and then lose it all in the third sector. So we'll follow him around for his next lap and see how he does. And maybe he manages to get it much better this time.
I mean, for Elite's sake, I hope so, because, I mean, if you don't really get a good lap in, you know, doing a little boxing here, if you don't set a good qualifying lap, you won't get a good grid position.
Yes,
As he exits the final corner now,
Okay,
hot lap
so
mode should be on.
should be indeed, and yeah, hot lap mode does appear to be on, burning through the ERS incredibly quickly, 325 k's an hour at the end of the straight there. So what would you expect that to be as far as downforce is concerned, higher or lower?
I'm pretty sure it's on the higher end, or at least the balanced end of aero balance and aero setup, because I I don't remember exactly what I was doing. I was running a lower downforce setup compared to the time trial setup, especially in terms of front wing.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure. I didn't really pay attention when I did my 1 hour of practice last night.
So Elite Delta not fastest first sector this time, but he does hold the fastest first sector, and he's only a tenth off it. So a tenth off his fastest first sector, but it's still a pretty good first sector compared to some of the other guys out there. Now coming to the end of the second sector, and a personal best second sector by about 5/10. So he's definitely on it this time.
He is half a tenth off the purple second sector though, which is set by Zobmeister, who has snuck his way into provisional P1 by the way. But at the same time, we'll see Elite cross the line now. He should jump. He jumps to P5, only about 2/10 off pole, provisional pole. But it's not that bad. But at the same time, that 1/10 loss in Sector 1 definitely killed him. Talking from personal experience, on my final run last night, I lost 2/10 in the first sector alone, and it's pretty hard to kind of get that time back, if I'm honest, especially if it's on a, well, even though, sorry, not especially, but even when it's on an evolved track.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much is the evolution on this track? Obviously, it is a permanent track, so you'd expect the evolution to be a little lower than maybe some of the street tracks that we have been on recently. But yeah, like, how did you find the evolution?
I mean, evolution overall from the start of the session, because I used all 3 tires this time, I actually did drive the start of the session, to the end, it was about, maybe about 4/10 overall in terms of track evolution, so it's not as big as some other tracks, but it's still a sizable margin of track evolution.
Yeah, absolutely. 4/10. I mean, you can see 4/10 is the difference between seventh place and first. So, yeah, and once again, we've got a very good grouping of drivers. Everyone down
Not
to
setting the
ninth
provisional pole
position.
time.
Yeah, the Moz with the pole time, but everyone down into ninth position within a second, and the only person outside of 2 seconds is Kim. So, pretty good grouping by the guys, and we saw this last night in the Tier 1 race as well. I think it was all the way down to 17th position within a second of each other.
Yeah, and it's pretty insane with this track on how tight the grouping is, but that's also because of how fast the track is. I mean, if you set a clean lap and a clean fast lap at that, you will definitely be pretty close to the guys around you. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just the nature of the track. It's very quick. It's very short. I mean, you'd expect a lap time of 108s, 109s, for Tier 2 around this track. And it's the same case with Austria. Austria is an even faster track, but the margins will always be very tight.
Although we did see bigger margins in Austria, I think we did see 2-3 seconds beyond sort of ninth or 10th place. So yeah, it does look like people are definitely getting to the rhythm, getting a little bit closer to their actual pace. Definitely a lot of people putting in the practice to try and make themselves a lot faster. So yeah, we'll see Archlord head out now. Newer to this particular, is he still charging? It looked like he's still charging at the beginning of the
It
lap.
did.
He is
It did
indeed.
look like he didn't have his ERS on. He's on 100% still on the telemetry, so maybe he's doing 2 outlaps. His
It
light
is
is still flashing.
entirely
Yeah, he's definitely doing
possible.
another outlap probably.
Yeah. His tires aren't nearly up to temperature. But what I
Yeah.
was saying is, he actually did pretty well previously when he raced with us. He hasn't raced with us in House of Esports, I don't believe, but he did race with us in a couple of previous leagues, and we have seen what he can do when he is practicing. He is pretty rapid. So looking forward to seeing if he can put something together on this quali lap when he does start it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it will be interesting to see what Arch does. I mean, if he's on it, I do expect a top 5 from him, at least in qualifying. Maybe in the race, he will get top 5, but it also does depend on incidents if there is any.
Absolutely. Incidents are something that you have to worry about. Porty found that out firsthand. A little bit of a grass touch spun and murdered Azir in the process as collateral. So, it certainly opened up the front of the race.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that incident in particular with Potty, that it was very unfortunate. and I was honestly very lucky with my own car positioning, but at the same time, there's not much you can do. I mean, you're on the outside, you're on the marbles, there's going to be a lot less grip, and you're going to lose the car. Either way, Arch just finishing Sector 1 now. I don't know. No, he didn't do a faster Sector 1 compared to his PB, but he's 1/100th off of his PB. So we'll be seeing what he's going to be doing into Sector 2 and Sector 3. Hopefully he doesn't get impeded by that Ferrari ahead of him. And I believe that Williams, that's just caused the yellow flag. I'm not too sure.
I do
But,
believe it was the Williams.
yeah.
That looks like a stricken Williams, although, okay, no, it pulls off
No, he
again.
slowed
So,
down a lot.
yeah, I don't see any wing damage, so hopefully the Williams is okay. But, yeah, Arch coming to the end of the second sector, and a personal best there,
PB's
2
by
tenths
2/10.
up. Yeah. So he's about 2 tenths up on his previous time, and that would put him all the way up into, what is that? Oh, only into
That'll
ninth
put
at
him.
the moment. But
That'll
let's see
put him
what he
only
does.
into 9th, but the toe from the Ferrari would help a lot, and
There we
it goes
go.
into 7th.
So that toe definitely helping a little bit. But yeah, well done to Arch, finding a little bit of a rhythm there. And Moment, I don't think we've seen everything that he can put together just yet in that Aston Martin. We do know he is quite quick, but possibly just taking it a little bit easy, just winding himself up for the final lap, or 1 minute and 30 seconds left until the end of the session. So we should see the fastest laps of the session coming up soon.
I mean, we should be able to see that, but also it also just does depend on if they mess it up or not. I mean, Sector 1 is very easy to mess up, and because it's all really in turn 1, 2, and 3, trying to get the throttle down and trying to keep the throttle on out of turn 1, and it's very difficult to get right, but when you do get it right, you know a lot how much time you can gain from it.
Yeah, absolutely. You absolutely feel it through those the center S's. It is incredible. It's an incredibly cool and Moment unfortunately invalidates his lap as he begins it. Destroyer beginning his lap now, and we've also seen him incredibly quick. Yeah, it's when you get those S's correct and you actually feel it, it is really nice.
Yeah, it does feel really nice, but also it feels absolutely terrifying at the same time as Moment just finishing the first sector. Now he's down by a tenth, so
Yeah, he didn't
like I said,
validate.
Sector 1 was very important. It shows that you validated on the telemetry, but it's still a normal map on the game. um,
Oh no, we're watching Destroyer.
or that's Destroyer.
The other
Oh,
Aston
crap.
Martin.
Other Aston. Oops, my bad.
On the telemetry, it
Yeah.
has a white background on whoever we're watching, so just
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. Moment will get a chance to, I think, does he get a chance to start another lap? No, he does not actually.
I think
So
he
that's it for
can.
Moment.
There he is. That's it for
Destroyer,
Moment.
however, has been doing PBs on PBs in both Sector 1 and 2. He's going to jump up the field here. And he
Into
does.
second. Obviously, Destroyer won one of our races. I think it was, I can't remember if it was the first or the second race of the season. He actually won, but ended up being disqualified for the telemetry issue. So, yeah, back before EA fixed telemetry resetting itself before every race. So
Yeah,
Destroyer
and that was
definitely has
Jeddah.
the pace. Yeah, that was Jeddah. So yeah,
He definitely has the
first race.
pace.
Yeah, he definitely has the pace. So it'll be
As,
good to see how
yeah,
he
no one
does.
else. No one else seems to be improving at the moment. Moss abandoned his lap. Everyone else just wasn't improving. Kim is. I have no idea what I'm seeing
Kim's in the
from
pits.
Kim's country. Kim's in the pits. Okay, that makes sense. What else? Who else? Italian Legend.
Italian
He's not on a
Legend's the
lap.
only one.
I think everyone's done.
Yeah, I think he's not on a fast lap. I think he's gonna
Yeah.
come into the pits.
Everyone's done. So, this is the final order. So we have Moss in P1, Destroy P2, Zoltmeister P3, only 3 and a bit tenths back. Vaynand in P4, not too far from Zoltmeister. Mister. Elite P5, Moment P6, Robin P7, Sveister P8, Arshwood P9, and Jumper finishing out the top 10.
And then it's Santa, Farah, and Farah, both still within a second of the first time. And Gogs, Elf, Italian Legend, Grim Reaper, Braddles, and Kim in 18th position. Kim, the only one outside of 2 seconds, obviously quite new to the game, so it's good to see him coming along.
It is good to see him coming along, but one thing that's a bit of a curious case, Santa in P11. We don't normally see that from him. We normally see him a lot higher in the grid.
It's possible that he's running a setup that's a little bit more geared towards race pace and maybe tire longevity. So obviously tires around here not too much of a problem from what I remember from last night. A lot of people able to go quite deep into the session with a single set of tires.
Yeah, and especially with a bit of luck. I mean, there was the safety cars. I mean, there was Emil who got lucky. I'm still annoyed at that. Um, uh, considering what happened at Mexico. We had quite a few other people who really just stuck it out long on mediums or hard compound tires. And I mean, the game is whack enough to give you medium softs, but apparently they don't work at all. So it's a bit of an interesting one in terms of strategy because the medium softs can probably do it, but it'll be very sketchy. And then you'll have the safer strategy of hard mediums or medium hards. If there's no safety car, that will be safe. It will be fast, but you'll be a bit disadvantaged compared to people on fresh, softer tires.
Absolutely. So interestingly enough, it looks like the lobby may have frozen.
It may have frozen. I'll just take a look at the WhatsApp real quick.
Cool.
I see nothing on the WhatsApp. Anything on
There
the
we go.
nothing on the Discord either. So I think no one just pressed X.
Well, that's an interesting change from normal. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't set the weather before this, so I'm hoping that it's a dry race.
We hope,
we hope,
but
but it
I
is
mean, it will be
T2.
interesting.
T2 always managed to get the adverse weather in last season, so we'll see what's going on. But yeah, there was something that we learned last night. If you open the race director during the formation lap, you can't get rid of it.
Really?
Yes, that's why at the beginning of last night's race was literally just staring at the race director screen until I had to leave and rejoin.
That's interesting. Well, good
Yeah.
to know on that part.
Yeah,
I
no,
guess. I hope
absolutely.
it doesn't happen when you're driving. I hope it's only a spectator glitch.
I'm expecting that it's just a spectator glitch, but yeah, I couldn't get out of it in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I'm not going to open the race director before the start of the race, and even once the race has started, I'm a little wary of opening it up. But yeah, while we wait for the guys to load in, yeah, it's just one of those things. Loading times this year do seem a little longer in the game.
Yeah, I mean it does seem a bit longer, but at the same time, it's okay. The lobbies are a bit more stable compared to last year's game, so I don't mind that trade-off. I mean, it wasn't as
So
ridiculous
much more
as
stable.
what F1 2020 open lobbies where it takes just forever.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear the countdown, so we're about to go 5 red lights. There it
Well, it's
is.
gonna be formation lap, or is it not? Never mind, it's not.
Yes, it should be.
No, we're lap 1. It's actual race.
Oh, okay, no formation lap. Oh, I wonder if it's had that glitch again where it reset all my lobby settings and there's no safety cars.
Oh no. Check the safety car settings. You might have to.
Yep.
And well, I don't know what happens if it did reset, but you know.
Yeah, there it is. Safety
On,
car is
yeah.
off. I think that's actually not too much of a problem. Let's run the race. I mean, it means that the guys are going to have to focus on their tire strategy, and they're not going to have safety cars interrupting every 3 or 4 laps. So yeah, I think let's just run the race as is. No safety cars, and we've already got a yellow flag in sector 2. That is Farah and Robin possibly dropping.
Yeah, a few cars. Jumper, Robin, Farah, and maybe Kim. I'm not too sure. As I'm seeing on the track map, we have a Alfa Romeo just absolutely cutting. Vaynon's left the session. So I think there's all sorts of tomfoolery going on in this lobby already.
Yeah, absolutely. Venant has left the session, just Moment has left the
Roman's
session.
dropped out.
So lobby may be broken?
Maybe. I mean, the lobby settings are already screwed. We could as well rehost if you so wish. You're the admin after all. But yeah, I'm not too sure.
Let's just try and re-invite. So, Zopmirster out in front. Let's just run through what's happening so far. Zopmirster out in front, Moz in second, Elite in third. So, doing pretty well for the three of them. Up 2 places for both Zopmirster and Elite. Destroyer down 2 places, Swayster up 3 places. Italian Legend 9 places gained.
Yeah, I mean, definitely capitalizing off of the several collisions that happened on the first lap. I mean, Grim going into the pits probably to change his front wing. I mean, it's a bit unfortunate on that, especially when we already have this bug with the lobby and there's no more safety cars. So he's gonna have to try and gain everything back under driving. That's if we continue this lobby. I'm not too sure if we should, but you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah, I think it is fine to continue this lobby. We were looking at ways to reduce the number of safety cars the tier 2 guys were getting, because I mean the couple of races that we did run with the safety cars, they ended up behind a safety car almost every 2 laps. Like we had one race that there was almost entire race without DRS. So yeah, I think this should be fine.
I mean, that was Jeddah. I'm pretty sure where we had 5 safety cars in 17 laps.
I think we
So
had Spain, Spa as well. I think we had
Spa
many,
wasn't
many,
as
many
bad.
safety cars.
Spa was not as bad in my opinion, but at the same time, it is a longer track, so it does take longer to kind of get incidents.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
Ooh, and Braddle's being. It looked like he got. Ooh, what on earth happened there?
what on earth?
It looked like there was contact between Braddles and Archlord, but the cars reacted like there was contact, but there was no actual contact itself. And then
Yeah, there may be a bit of desync, okay?
there might be a bit of desync. I think we are dealing with that, which is really unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this, honestly.
I
Yeah.
think for the most part it is fine. Obviously, we are going to be dealing with desync until the fiber lines are actually fixed. The undersea fiber cables, both on your side and on the
Oh, yeah, that's
Congo
true.
side of the continent. And I wonder
Our
if
side's
maybe
fixed, by
that's
the way.
what we're seeing. Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah.
Maybe the ship can, leave you guys be.
Yeah, hopefully, considering I want less laggy lobbies. But yeah, no, it is a bit of a state at the moment in terms of everyone's Wi-Fi connections being a lot poorer than what it normally should be. But at the same time, some people they don't get affected as much as others, and we're kind of seeing that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just moment getting dropped once again. So, if you do want another invite, please just request it. We will send one through. Possibly an issue with the just obviously where we're based and where other people are based. We do have a couple of international races, and I do feel like they often have. A moment has actually dropped out again. So definitely looks like there are issues. Vaynant asking for a request once again. So we'll send a request through for Vaynant and Moment once again. And if this doesn't work, then unfortunately we're going to have to leave them out of the lobby because otherwise we're not going to be able to see any of the race.
Yeah, and well, we might not be able to have time to actually do a full rehost and kind of get the race re-going again because people have load shedding. There's load shedding schedules that we have to kind of respect, and it'll be unfair on the people who are already here if we kind of delay the end of the race and they get load shed at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So, out in front, Zopmirster and Moz fighting for position in 4th and 5th. Swayster right on the back of Destroyer, actually closer than guys out in front, so we'll follow them for the next couple of laps. But so far, it looks like guys have basically broken off into clumps and are fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that is also partially driven by instance, but it's mostly driven by pace. And it's kind of good, you know. I mean, especially if these guys definitely will work together with DRS, which is kind of very important, first-hand experience there. DRS trains, they are pretty lethal if you guys work together properly.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see, or we thought we may have seen that happening between, I think it was Aphrodite and Scars last night. Weren't able to pull away from Mario in the end. But yeah, like we did see how much quicker it was with the DRS leapfrog that a couple people can work out.
Yeah, but I think as well with Sveister and Destroyer, Sveister I don't think is actually planning to work with Destroyer here, considering Sveister's already under 10% ERS in lap 6. It's only 1/6 of the way through the race, man. It's not going to be ideal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do know that a lot of people use most of their ERS on the first lap, though, so it could just be that, and then they sort of limp around the rest of the time. Whereas some people prefer to save their ERS towards the end of the race. So yeah, just one of those things. Different differences in opinion on how to best extract things from the joint from the car.
I mean, in my opinion, I think it's just a lack of knowledge on how to manage the ERS properly in order to gain, like, to benefit you long term. Because yeah,
Absolutely.
cool, you can deploy all the ERS in the first few laps and literally have nothing for the rest of the race, but that will only benefit you short term. I mean, what about in laps? What about out laps? What about the final few laps of the race when you're actually fighting someone for final positions? You know, it's not ideal to really think about the short term as a sprint
Yes,
than anything
absolutely.
else.
I do agree. I'm very much on the same page as you. Elite Delta has caught up to Moz. I saw Bennett rejoin just a moment. Unfortunately, just is not able to rejoin, so he's unfortunately retired. So that car is going to be driven by AI, and you can see how terrible the AI is in this game. With when you do drop out, Bennett dropping 11 places.
Yeah, I mean, the AI will obviously be a lot slower because it's set to default values. I presume, I believe so.
I think
But
this one's set down at 40.
yes, 40, 41. And yeah, the AI is just slow. I mean, thankfully we run ghosting, unlike other leagues. But yeah, no, we thankfully we have that, and drivers can just go right through the cars who are not in the session, and well, just not lose any time at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Their AI is incredibly dangerous to try and pass if ghosting isn't enabled. Just saw Rocking Robin drop out as well, so I think this lobby is a little bit more unstable than last night's lobby. It's again, it's probably one of those situations where it's probably related to the cable break. To be honest, there's no reason why tonight should be running a little bit worse than last night. So unless people are struggling with the internet connections on their side.
Yeah, I mean, it could easily be that. I mean, also it could literally just be EA doing EA things on top of it and
Yeah.
making it a slightly bit worse. But you know what? It is what it is. We have to kind of deal with that at the same time.
Absolutely, it is something that we do have to deal with all the time. I'm just going to try and send another invite to Robin, who did drop out, and yeah, Moz still not able to get quite close enough to Zopmester to get past. So the two out in front, managing the ERS, and I wonder if that's why Moz is just hanging behind.
I mean, it's kind of obvious one's managing more ERS than the other. So yeah, I think Moss is just kind of taking it easy. But I say that, and he's
Ooh.
gone down the inside in turn 4. A bit of contact on entry, but you know what? It's fine. Bit of a racing incident. Well, okay, Zolmister actually manages to make it back in turn 5. Interesting.
I wonder if that was Moz letting him through because of the contact.
Maybe it could have easily been that, but either way, if that's the case, that's good sportsmanship. I didn't see really any issue with that contact, if I'm honest. But at
Well,
the
it
same time,
was
it
on the
also could have
straight.
been kind of strategic. Maybe Moss has realized Zoltmeister is faster in the second sector, and he can just keep preserving his ERS for the main straights, considering Moss could have a lower downforce setup. And he's on the harder compound tires, no less.
Yeah, that is entirely possible, but yeah, I do feel like that contact was a little bit dodgy. Obviously, running down the straight, moving to the outside, making contact with the guy on the outside. It's not really something that we would like to see. Yellow flag in sector 2, just for a moment. I do believe that was an Alpha Tauri, so I think that's Rocking Robin. I think he's the only Alpha Tauri on track at the moment. So struggling a little in sector 2.
Yeah, struggling a little bit in sector 2, but yeah, I don't know. Sector 2 is a bit of a technical one, if I'm honest. I mean, it's a lot of try and get the throttle as early as possible while also not losing the car. So it's kind of just, it's a bit of a difficult sector. I don't really blame anyone if they just lose the car there constantly. It's tough. It's really, it's rough as hell.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
not much else you can say about that.
We'll watch Elf go through it, and you'll see the awkward braking, the having to hold on to the throttle, and
Because
yeah.
you have to break that. Like, you have to brake as soon as you get at the top of the hill. You have to hold the apexes as tight as possible. Here's very sketchy because the track undulates, the undulation is changing, and you have to go on throttle. Here, it's a bit of an on camber, off camber corner. It's a roller coaster, honestly. And then here you have to not, touch the grass on the outside, as you have to get on the line and as close to the grass as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. An incredibly technical second sector in the beginning of the third sector, obviously, was where we really saw most of our incidents last night that were unforced. So, yeah, lap 11, 26 laps left to go. Moz is currently out in front, Zopmeister right behind. Elite Delta has lost touch a little bit, and Farah in 12th, actually about to pass Kim. Kim getting into the slipstream. It looked like a very violent move
Quite
there.
instantly.
Yeah, but I think that was possibly just controller things. So yeah, a great move there by Farah to get past there. Vaynant right on the back of Archlord, so Arch busy fighting with the Williams, and keep an eye out in front. Of course, the game decides we need to look backwards.
We need to look backwards, and we need to look at the rain light, apparently, as Vaynand gets past Archlord into turn 4. Pretty clean move, and, well, that's going to give him another place and a new target to focus on. Kim is the next one up ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the EA deciding that we're not allowed to see that battle looked like it was going to be a great overtake. We assume it was because it happened and it looked like a good spot to do it, but couldn't bring it to your life because EA.
EA. We make games. Anyways, we have
yes.
Zopmeister still on the back of Moss. The medium tires, although they're similar in wear to the hard compound tires, they will have a bigger performance drop compared to the hards. So it'll be a bit interesting to see what's going to happen here. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting, especially in Sector 2 in terms of like pace loss and grip difference, but also something that's weird. Something to note as well is the dirty air. Dirty air still exists, dirty air still affects you. It's not that great, as we had a very
Absolutely.
weird pit entry from Arch.
That was a very interesting pit entry. I think he
Oh,
may have
snot.
overcooked it into the pit lane itself, locked the mirrors, oddly enough, and then it looks like they tried to come around on him. And of course, the game won't let you enter the pit at that sort of angle. So,
So it just resets.
yeah.
Which, it does make sense, it does make sense. Either way, Moss clearly, well, he's showing that he has more pace on Zopmeister now. He is using a bit more battery, though. Zopmeister has managed to recover quite a bit.
Absolutely. Did that sound alert play, Buddy?
Oh no, not the sound alert stuff.
I heard it on
Not
my
the
side.
sound alert. Well, I didn't hear it, so I'm good. I'm happy. Um, Either way, anything else that we can see for now? Closest battle right now is between Moss and Zopmeister, and there's also Grim and Robin.
Grim
Both
and
within a
Robin,
second of
indeed.
each other.
Robin falling back quite rapidly, and
Yeah,
Braddle's right
into
behind him.
Braddles, so I think
But
there was
Moss
a bit of a
has
mistake
just
from
lost
Robin.
a massive amount of time in the middle sector, so I think Zopmeister is going to be looking at trying to get past him as soon as possible.
Yeah, but I think Moss is going to try and stay behind that ghosted Aston Martin just so he gets a little bit of the cheeky DRS, so he can defend his position into turn 1. But at the same time, I think Zopmeister will be dumping his DRS as well as Moss, just so he can kind of put the pressure on a little bit, make Moss kind of drain his battery and have more straight line loss in performance with the
Yeah,
ERS, with the lack of ERS.
absolutely. I think that was exactly what Moz was trying to do, is get that DRS going down into turn 1, and did well with it, but now doesn't have the DRS heading down towards turn 4, but Zopmeister not quite close enough, so a little bit held up through the center S's by the car ahead.
Yeah, a bit held up, but I mean, what can you do? What can you do? I mean, zombies are trying to find a way around, but I mean, the next thing to kind of think about here, if you're Zolmeister, Moss will go on mediums, and Zolmeister will probably be going on hards, unless they're going to go into softs to the end, but that's highly unlikely.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to push quite deep into the race to be able to go into softs. But it is something that they could do. Let's have a look. It's 23 laps left. And I can't remember how long the softs looked like they were lasting. We've got Arch on the softs at the moment in 16th position. So he's been on those tires for 2 laps at the moment. As we see Zombiesh actually getting through on Moz. Nice easy pass with the DRS down towards turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, the game says that, well, according to the game, you can do softs from lap 21, and max tire wear will be around 75-ish%, but I mean, I don't trust that. I don't trust the game race strategy thing at all. As Moss going back past Zopmeister into turn 4, maybe they're working together a bit, maybe they're just kind of just having a little play fight, you know, a bit bored, 3 seconds ahead of the next guy, you may as well try and just have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they are just fighting. They're just exchanging positions through the DRS zones. And if you don't, you end up losing a lot of time just coming up to the back of the other car and having to back out of it. I feel like you do lose a lot of time. Yes, it does save the tires a little bit, but at the same time, being behind someone else. Are you finding that being in the dirty air does affect the tire temperature?
Uh, I never really checked the tire temperature when I was in dirt here, but it probably does. Theoretically, yeah, especially when you have a loss of grip and you're kind of relying on mechanical grip more than anything. Plus, the lack of air means you're going to be sliding the tires more, meaning more heat. So, theoretically, yes, it does worsen the tire, like the heating of the tire. But at the same time, with this game, I mean, the upper limit of tire heating is a lot more. I mean, you can run tires up till 107, and 107 is like basically the edge of green.
Oh, right. So definitely a much bigger range than previously. And they did say that that was something that they were trying to achieve with the new tire formulae. So, yeah, you're just agreeing that they may have actually found that balance.
I do agree they found that balance. And I quite enjoy that balance, as we see with the terrible, terrible camera view. Italian legend down the inside of Elf, but doesn't manage to get the exit correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was just not quite alongside enough going into turn 4 and decided to just keep his nose just close enough to make Elf go a little bit wider through that corner. Not an ideal line there for Elf, but managing to hold onto it by keeping his foot in there.
Yeah, pretty much, but something I've just noticed in telemetry, Moss's tires, although kind of equally worn, they're more worn on the right side.
Oh,
But
that's a spin.
Zopmeister
That's a
being...
spin for Moss.
Oi, that's a Moss spin,
I
yeah.
didn't actually see if there
Unfortunately.
was contact.
I didn't see that, I was looking at the telemetry. That's a bit unfortunate. I can just clip that, honestly. um, yeah, as I was saying, Moss's tires more worn on the right side, even though it's kind of evenly balanced. But Zobmeister has a lot more wear on his rears compared to his fronts.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely getting on the power a little bit more aggressively, and Zopmev has spun as well now.
Oh,
What's
they're kind of
going
doing
on?
a little bit of a synchronized dance there
Absolutely.
across
So
the entire lap on lap 17. As well, that one we can definitely say for sure. Zobmeister spun on his own. As I'm currently watching the replay of the turn 1, and Moss spun on his own. He went on the grass on the entry of turn 1.
okay then, so that's quite interesting.
Robin's asking for an invite.
Yeah, let me send him an invite just quickly. Did send one earlier, but obviously it didn't go through.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff in terms of, well, how people are using the tires, but we do have a new race leader now, and that is Elite.
Yeah, Elite just keeping his nose clean and his car pointed in the
Zolmeister
right
has
direction.
an even worse time. 3-second time penalty.
Yep, absolutely. So only two 3-second time penalties so far as we see Ghost going into the pits. So only two 3-second penalties so far, which is always good to see. But yeah, Elite out in front, keeping his nose clean, keeping the nose pointed in the right direction around the track, and it's paid dividends now. He is out in front. His tire weight is quite high though.
It is quite high, especially for, well, tires that are meant to wear almost the same as the hard compound tires on this track at least. But Moss kind of gaining rapidly on elites. Like it's been about a second that lap as we see that was Grim that just retired. He retired on track, but I think he got the no. He left. I think I don't know. I don't know if he got the bug.
No, I think he was just being lapped, and I wonder if he maybe just retired because of that. He would have been ghosted for pretty much everyone, so I
Yeah,
don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. It's not bringing out a safety car because, lobby bugs.
there is none.
So I think we'll let him get away with that one. But yeah, not a great race for Grim, and once again, I do feel like he has quite bad luck around these races.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of bad luck, especially with lap one instance as side by side, Seister and Italian Legend. A bit feisty there. I mean, one of them had to go off the track. Who has the DRS? It's the Haas of Seister. This is going to be very interesting. Italian Legend has absolutely nothing to defend with, and Seister makes it through before the braking zone of turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a message from Grim. Let's just see if it's something we need to share. Oh, he had an incident, I do believe, with the AI of Momin.
That's kind of interesting. That car's meant to be ghosted.
Yeah, indeed. That is very interesting. So, Grim saying that he got pushed into a wall by an Aston Martin. I assume that is the AI. Not much anyone can do about that, as we see Elite Delta coming into the pits with those medium tires, going onto the hards, and he obviously has a high wear setup. So, I wonder if he's gone for a gamble on the setup side.
Maybe he's gone for a gamble for more aggressiveness on the tires with more mechanical grip in order to kind of just get more pace out of the car, more grip out of the car. But in my opinion, I think he could have actually stayed out a bit longer, like Moss and Zopmist is doing, to get onto the softs to the end. Softs to the end, theoretically, according to the game, not licensed advice, can go to the end. This for the softs on lap 21.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
It does look like it is going to be close for everyone else.
but
We did see the undercut work incredibly well last night
it
as well.
did. It did. But you can as well just hold out for about 3 more laps, 4 more laps, and that's a spinning destroyer.
That
Hooked
was
it onto the curb a bit too
such a
much.
lazy spin. Those are the worst.
Hooked it onto the curb a bit too much, and well, he just went round. But you could easily hold it out. If I was Moss, I'd hold it out for about 3 more laps and then pit for softs. The undercut, yeah, sure, it'll work, but you're on the very strong soft tires towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soft tires that doesn't wear as fast compared to other tracks.
It is something to keep in mind. Looking at Arch, we did mention Arch is on softs at the moment, 8 laps old at the moment, and tire wear not looking like anything to write home about.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, if you according to the unofficial game advice strategies for what the game gave you, 15 laps on softs, you'd be looking at around, according to Arch's tire wear, you'd be looking around just over 50% tire wear on the softs on the end of the race. So, you know what, it does work. It should work theoretically. Just don't listen to what the game tells you.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely don't listen to the game because Mark is probably one of the most incompetent people in F1.
Bring back Jeff. That's all I'm going to say to that. I miss my Jeff.
Somehow, honestly, Jeff was better, and like to have to say that is just it breaks me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Also, in chat, that's unfortunate for Robin. Robin desynced from the lobby
Yes.
and didn't realize.
Yeah, unfortunately, did not realize, and I have sent.
So, Robin, if you're not, Yeah, Robin,
Yeah.
if you're not back in the current lobby, well, I mean, there has been invites sent. Just join on there. Leave whatever you're in and join on that, and you should be back in the session. Although it is a bit too late to kind of be saved,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately, I think this race may be a little bit of a lost cause for Robin. So we can see most of the guys have come into stop. Still to stop is Moz, Zopmeister, Italian Legend, Vaynant, and obviously Robin's AI. Um, pit stop loss around here?
Don't ask me. I don't pay attention to it. It's
Okay.
around 21 seconds, I believe.
Okay,
But
so
yeah, it's not that bad.
according to the telemetry, if Moz pits now, he'll rejoin in fourth position, and he's doing exactly that. So he'll probably rejoin behind Elite Delta according to the telemetry. Zopmeister also coming in, he's going to look at a rejoin of sixth position if the telemetry is correct. Soester obviously doesn't have to pit. Italian Legend is probably going to drop to 10th, and Venant down into 13th if they do pit this lap. So really, this has worked out quite nicely for Elite Delta. As we said, with that undercut, will probably manage to get out into second. Obviously, Swayster out in front, doing incredibly well on the strategy. I didn't actually see that coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a 6-lap undercut onto Moss on the hard compound tires, and, well, a 3-lap undercut onto Elite. But something interesting to kind of know here, Moss went for mediums, Zombister went onto softs.
Yep, and that is good for the guys out in front. Swayster and Elite will be licking their lips at that because it means Moz and Zopmeister are going to fight, and Zopmeister is going to have an advantage in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, he will definitely have an advantage in the short term, but it's all about how he manages his tires for the next 13 laps. They should be faster overall, but it just depends how he handles it. As he's trying to get past Italian Legend before the DRS zone. Not really advisable.
No, absolutely. The patience would have served him better as he almost touches the back of Italian Legend there. And I mean, every time he slides across the track like that, he is putting wear on those tires. Not ideal. Italian Legend going into the pits, so he didn't even have to really wait that long. But he does have 6.6 seconds to try and catch up to Moz. So he's going to have to push those soft tires incredibly hard, considering he has to make up those 6.6 seconds and then 3 seconds for the penalties he's carrying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's only 6.6 or 6.8 now to Moss, but I mean, keep in mind, Moss is 2 seconds behind Elite, and Elite's 3.5 behind Sveister. So there's a lot of work for him to do. Is it doable? It could be, but I don't know. We'll have to see where he ends up in the end because that's gonna be a doozy. That's gonna be a doozy to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. He is losing a lot of time to Moz as well. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. But something we do also have to keep in mind. Last night, we saw a couple of the penalties applied in a very strange manner by the game, where the penalties were 3 second penalties and people lost 5, 6 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand that. Yeah, hang on, I'm kind of getting distracted by some DMs here. But at the same time, I'm not too sure how that stuff really works out in the end. It's a bit complicated. I mean, game be the game. It's a bit bugged.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we are going to be looking at those penalties at the end of the race and seeing if we can figure out what exactly happened there. We are recording the telemetry once again, so yeah, we can actually check the telemetry itself to see sort of what sort of gaps people had at the time of crossing the line. Maybe the game is actually displaying incorrectly, which is entirely possible. But yeah, Swayster out in front, still 3.6 seconds to Elite Delta. Moz is sort of catching up, it looks like. We've got a Red Bull that is Arch, I think, spun in the first sector. Looks like he's getting out of the way and getting back going again. So yeah, he is on the soft tires, and I think he's starting to lose some performance in those soft tires.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what tire he's on now, he's definitely losing a lot of performance on those soft tires. I mean, what's going to help him a lot though is that the car's a lot lighter compared to if he did it at the start of the race. So it'll be pretty good on him for now. But yeah, those tires, they're not going to look good. They're not going to be at all any good in the next couple of laps. I don't think he's even going to make it to the end on those tires.
No, absolutely. 11 laps left to go, and that little spin is probably not going to help him at all. Moz now right on the back of Elite Delta. He does have the DRS, stays behind through turn 4 and 5, but Elite Delta, you can see his light flashing there. He has practically no ERS left, and a snap there by Elite Delta, and Moz gifted
And Moss
the
goes straight
position.
through. Yeah, and Moss as well. It doesn't even matter if Elite didn't have the snap or not, because Moss would have had the DRS on the Sector 3, well, on the main straight, and he has a massive, massive ERS advantage to all the cars around him.
Yeah, absolutely. They're practically not using it at all. And maybe we do need to look at bumping him up into T1 at some point with this performance, and the previous one as well. But yeah, Moz doing quite well. 3.6 seconds left to try and catch up to Swayster. Moz in second, Elite Delta in third position after that snap. And then Zogmuster in fourth on the soft tires. He needs to get moving. 5.7 seconds. He's made up about a second, but not entirely sure what's happening.
It's not really at a rate that he should be doing it at, but it's still somewhat. He'll probably still gain some position, but his time penalty will definitely screw him over. Regarding for Moss, I mean, we don't really have a good basis on if we should bump him up or not, because he's been doing steady this race, but last week's race, I mean, that was so instant filled that he just gained a free 20-second advantage.
I wouldn't call it entirely free. He definitely does have some
Mostly.
pace. I think it's just something that we are going to be looking at the tiers in general. There's a couple of guys in tier 2 who definitely deserve to be in tier 1, and yeah, we're going to. I think we are going to be offering them that opportunity as we see Alf and Farah going side by side through T4 and T5, and still side by side heading up to T6.
I mean, fresher softs against a bit older hards. I mean, theoretically the softs should win, but I mean, Farah's doing very well at holding his own. In regards to what they have to play with in ERS, I mean, it's pretty similar in terms of the bigger scheme of things, but at the moment, Elf has the battery advantage.
Yes, absolutely, he does. And but of course, that technical middle sector, Elf playing without assists at all, so he doesn't even run with the line. So yeah, just doing it entirely by feel. And that middle sector with its technicality, I wonder if that would help him or hinder him with running without the line, because he obviously doesn't have the line to worry about when he's trying to drive at pace with someone else.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't really have. Well, he can easily what's it called, adapt to what the car ahead of him is driving. But at the same time, there's not really any concrete breaking points in Sector 2. As Elf making a move past Farah down into Turn 4, pretty well. I was gonna say pretty clean and well done, but not Sata. Farah is trying to hold it around the outside, doesn't manage to. Gets the run up into Turn 6 and 7, but can't do anything at the moment.
Yeah, I think this is a case of having to wait until the end of the sector. And
Oh,
as I say
never
that,
mind.
Elf gets a little bit of a snap and opens the door for Farah. Farah decides not to go for it just yet. A little bit of a dangerous low percentage play there, and making the right decision, I feel. And now Elf coming into the final sector. Now he's going to have to get a great exit out of here to try and keep Farah behind him, but I'm not sure if he's doing enough.
It's definitely not enough. I mean, it's only 2/10 already, and we haven't even hit the DRS zone. So this is going to be a pretty easy pass for Farah, but at the same time, it's a good scrap that they're having. But well, Farah's fighting with a penalty at the moment,
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
think it's a bit
He
too
is.
smart.
So I think
I mean,
Elf can afford to just stay
sit
within 3
behind.
seconds. As long as he's within 3 seconds, he will get that position. And in fact, he will actually get this position on center as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Elf being smart here, he'd stay behind Farah if Farah doesn't drop back from Santa too much. But if Farah was was going to be a bit more strategical in this situation, I'd let Elf pass and use the DRS to catch up to Santa.
Yeah, absolutely. Would not be a bad idea at all as we see Moz getting through into the lead of the race. Swayster dropping down, so that 6 second undercut. Unfortunately, not enough to maintain that first position. 7 laps left to go, though, so still quite a lot can happen between now and the end of the race. But yeah, battles in a couple of places down the field. Italian legend, Jumper, and Venant all fighting for 7th place, and obviously Elf and Farah still fighting for 11th and 10th, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a spicy one towards the end. I mean, we literally have a three-car battle for a bit more points in the drivers and constructors standings. It involves literally Jumper and Italian Legend. They're both teammates, so that'll be a bit interesting. See if there's any team play going on. As yikes, Jumper went wide, tries to rejoin the track. A bit unsafe there. Touches Vaynand, but no harm, no foul on any end there.
Yeah, I feel like that was more a situation where he actually lost the rear when going off the track and didn't really have much of a choice on where he was going to end up. Elf sticking to the back of Farah, and they look like they're actually catching up to Santa. So, but the two of them doing well, it does look like they've stopped fighting, and I wonder if that is a strategic decision by Elf, who's currently behind, looking at the penalties, knowing that if they push together, it will actually help his race as well.
Yeah, I mean, probably does, but at the same time, who knows? It could easily be a skill issue, but it also could easily be being smart. You
Yeah.
never really know at this point.
I would lean more towards smart with with my knowledge of Elf and the other games that he plays and how he plays them. Yeah, very, very, very tactical player in general.
I'm yawning. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. I mean, especially if you've got a tactical mind, and know how to kind of do things tactically, especially if you're versatile with other games, and you'd be perfect for being able to kind of improvise and adapt in terms of strategy and when to fight and when not to fight in races like these. As Moss sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:10.927.
110.927, and just a quick callback to last night. Zivan's fastest lap, that 109 on the hards. Like we actually went to check to see if it was actually if there was the corner cut or something, and it was a clean lap.
I mean, we got to get a POV of that because that is seriously an impressive lap to do on
Yes.
hard compound tires. I
Yeah.
do not know how he did it, if that is actually a legit one or if it's bugged. Zivan has mentioned privately he doesn't even know if it's legit or bugged, so it's a bit chaotic. But either way,
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
give the benefit of the doubt and say it's legit and just fair play.
Yeah, it's possible that, like, if he did get DRS in both of the DRS zones and burnt a whole bunch of ERS and fresher tires, I think it was done when he had pretty fresh tires. So, yeah, entirely possible that he did actually manage that and just pushed his head off to try and get that run done. But yeah, that lap must have been absolutely incredible. I have heard some rumors that not spectator, the replay bug might be back in this game, but people are still trying to figure out how to reproduce it every time.
Ooh, did I just see a tiny bit of a fake from Farah or a dive? It was a fake, but Farah on the back of Santa now, so Santa's has to kind of play it a bit smart, try and defend from at least Farah, well, at least Elf actually. Farah could get the position, but he's gonna have to keep Elf at bay because otherwise he'll lose his chance to go fight Farah for position.
Absolutely, and we can see Farah going through and 3 wide. No, not quite.
Not
Elf getting an
quite, but
easy
it's side by
pass
side to
as
turn one,
well.
and it's not side by side to turn one anymore.
Just getting it right before turn one. So Elf not letting go of this position. He wants those points or that point for 10th position, and he's not going to let Farah get away. I don't think.
No, I don't think he wants to let Farah get away. I think Elf wants to just get it done on track either way. Even though there is a penalty at play, maybe Elf has 2 warnings. You never know at this point. I mean, this track is pretty easy to get warnings.
Absolutely, he does have 2 warnings, so definitely something that will be at the back of his mind. Farah on 4, Santa on 3, so not likely for either of them to get any more penalties. So, racing for that final points-paying position. Jumper and his teammate actually sort of getting close together as they come through the final sector. And once again, it's that AI card that even though it's ghosted, it can be so distracting.
It can be really distracting. I mean, especially because even though it is somewhat transparent, you cannot really see where you're going. Especially even if you have a line, it's pretty hard to see. As I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure Jumper just wants to stay behind Giovanni there. But at the same time, they've lost touch to Vinand, and Vinand has gained on Gokes.
Absolutely, and Benat is doing incredible to have gained on Ghost and might actually have a chance there as we see Jumper get through on Italian Legends. So, waiting for the second DRS zone, knowing that Italian will have to wait until the next DRS zone to make a move. Sector 2 is fairly safe, unless you've got scars behind you. I think Jumper deciding he didn't want to pass through that first DRS zone and making the move in the second one quite nice and easily.
I mean, it is the second DRS is the deal.
No.
That's a spin from Gokes.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I don't think there was any sort of contact there, but Gokes.
That was a bit too much. That was just too much throttle. And
Gokes
it's pretty easy to do out of that corner.
It really is, and it's one of those ones that, like, you feel like the corner should be so much easier than it actually is.
Yeah, but it's a very deceiving one, that, and well, Vaynand, Jumper, and Italian Legend gets just a few more points for free.
Absolutely, and Elf not quite. Elf and Farah didn't quite get through, so they're still 3 seconds back from Gokes. But with that spin, and we see Italian get through on Jumper, and I think Jumper is going to get right back through on his teammate. A little bit of a jink there by Italian Legend to try and block the move off. And for a moment there, I thought it was raining. Those fences in the background looked like it was rain.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't blame you. I mean, it's pretty cloudy out over in Interlagos. I mean, if there was rain on the last lap, that would be a bit of scenes going on. I mean, is that Glock? Is it not? I don't know. But at the same time, yeah, it's a bit scuffed. As we have a yellow flag in sector 2. It is Farah in turn 7. I think he got. I think he became. So, nope. It's an Alpine behind.
No, I wonder if that was contact between Alf and Farah, because Alf up into 10th position, Farah dropping down into 12th. They were quite close together. Hopefully that wasn't contact. It did look like they were going a little slow, so I'm sure we'll hear if it was. But Elite Delta is right on the back of Zopmeister. Final lap of the race.
Zopmeister made a move, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Moz currently in first place on his final lap, coming through the Sawtooth for the last time. Good race by Moz, making the strategy work on those medium tires, which we thought might have not been the right call. But looking at Zop's tire wear, I think those mediums were the right call.
Ooh, Moss, commentator's curse. Commentator's curse right there, but thankfully Moss has more than enough of a margin to kind of just keep the position and keep going, even if he did get a warning and a penalty on that last bit there. I mean, still, he'll be timed down the main straight, but he will still win by about 5.96 seconds. All pretty chilled. Sveister second place. Zoltmeister third on track, but it'll be fourth after penalties get applied.
Absolutely.
Destroyer in P5, Vaynand in P6, about 20 seconds back. Well, if he doesn't do a Moss. Jumper in, well, provisionally P7, unless Italian Legend gets DRS and somehow zooms past Jumper onto the line, which actually it might not be possible.
No, I don't think it's possible.
I don't
a little
think
bit too far back, a little bit too little ERS, and coming home in 8th position. Gokes 9th, and Alf getting that final point, point for 10th place, but obviously I'm curious to see if a report comes out of that. Santa manages to hold on to 11th, and Farah unfortunate with that moment and comes home in 12th.
I think, in my opinion, if there was no contact, he got RNG'd. It's as simple as that. The car just randomly goes on turn-in. You can save it, and then it'll go again, and I mean you could just end up in the runoff on the exit of the corner.
Right, it's good to know. But yeah, unfortunate there for Farah. That fight with Elf going all the way to the penultimate lap. And yeah, a good race all around. The guys getting through. Very few incidents. I don't think we would have seen a safety car anywhere. I think we may have seen one.
Maybe one for the start of the race, but that's about it. So, good call on not rehosting,
Yeah, yeah.
because that probably could have bred more incidents. But you know what? It's fine. Final positions, well, probably is as stands. There wasn't much incidents, but yeah, I'll let you kind of just outro this race, this stream.
Absolutely. Just getting all the info we need just in case there is any sort of admin. Just looking at the. Looks like it's all track limits. Oh, there's a couple of collisions at the beginning. Turn 1, I don't completely expect to see that, so a couple of issues there. Cross pit lane, exit white line. So that's unfortunate there for Braddles, but didn't get a penalty for it. So all in all, not so many collisions noted there. And yeah, well done to Moz for the win and the good strategy call. Spacer in second, Elite Delta in third, Zopnic dropping down to fourth with that penalty. Destroyer, Venant, Jumper, Italian Legend, Goats, and Elf, the top 10. Santa, Farah, Kim, Archlord, and Braddles, top 15. Rocking Robin, Just Moment, Grim Reaper, the DNFs with the connection issues as well. And yeah, it's been a great race to watch, a race to commentate. Thanks for joining me, Humid, once again. Thank you to everyone in the chat for actually engaging with us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you, Skexis, for the main commentary. I mean, for carrying the commentary. I mean, yeah. Thank you, Potty, for my entertainment in the chat. And yeah, that's all I got to say. I'll probably be back next week if I'm not dead.
Cool. Well, good luck with that, and yeah, we'll see you all next week.